Hi guys, I'm Chormy, welcome back to my channel. Today I'll show you how to make a beat for Family Matters by Drake. This beat was made by Wanda, Takey, Mark Ronson, Fierce and Kevin Mitchell. So now let's begin with the breakdown. We have 3 different beats. So let's start from the first one. I think this is the one that Takey made because we have the classic Takey style piano. So I remade it using Omnisphere. In this case I'm using this preset here, the Yamaha C7 Aerial Smash. It's really important to use this one because the timbre is a little bit different from the classic. And the effects that I'm using are this EQ with the phone preset from the FabFilter Pro Q3. I had to lower these EQs of the resonance in the mids. And then I also use this RC20 to make the piano dirtier. I'm also using the EQ that is in the FL Studio mixer to cut some of the hikes of the piano because I noticed that the piano had too much hikes. So let's start analyzing the melody for the piano. It's a simple arpeggio in the A sharp minor scale. So they're just using the tonic chord A sharp minor. As you can see, 2 octaves lower, we have the root note A sharp to add some body to the piano. And then we have the arpeggio. You're playing the 3rd, the root note, the 5th, the suspended 2, root note again, 3rd, 6th, suspended 2, and then suspended 2 again. On the higher octave, I'm also doubling the higher melody, so the C and C sharp. The second layer for the melody is a brass that is just playing the root note or maybe the root note and the 5th. I use this preset from Xenology, is a trumpet section, then playing the root note and then the root note and the 5th on the higher octave, but I'm using the velocity to lower the volume. So the note that you can hear the most is the A sharp on the lower octave. I'm also filtering out all the hikes, so this is the result. These are the only 2 elements that are used for the first beat, so let's move on to the drums. We have a simple snare on the 3rd, 2-step hi-hats, and then a simple trap kick. The 808 is just following the same rhythm as the kick. The sample I'm using is a really simple 808, similar to a Spins or a Zay, maybe, because it has this shifted attack, so it's more similar to a Zay. And then I use the EQ to cut all the hikes and boost some of the lows. I'm also using the limiter to sidechain the 808 to the kick. So when the kick hits, we have this lower volume on the 808. Without it, it sounds like this. It's really important because it's giving more space to the kick. Then we have a simple cymbal. And then the arrangement is pretty much it, because it's really simple. It's just the same 3 or 4 elements looped out, and then they're just cutting out the drums or the kick sometimes. So let's move on to the second beat. It's a drill beat. It's 150 BPMs. And they're using this string loop that is really cool. I tried to remake it. It came out pretty similar to the original one, I think. Obviously, it's not that easy to recreate a similar loop. So I'm using a lot of strings from the Mellotron, the Mellotron Pro and Omnisphere. If you're trying to achieve a vintage string sound, you can't go wrong with the Mellotron. So I'm using the Mellotron Pro with the Yes string preset. And the most important thing that I'm doing on almost every layer from the Mellotron Pro is activating this button here, the elf speed button, that is giving like a lower octave shift. And then I'm also using the ensemble knobs to give the chorus effect. So this is the first string. They're using the same scale, so we are in the same scale, A sharp minor, and they're using the same chords too. So we have A sharp sus2 and then A sharp minor. So let's try to analyze every layer. This is the first one. I'm playing the suspended 2 and the 3rd. on 2 octaves. I also have some lower notes that are the root notes. Then I'm playing the same notes on the string 2 preset, always from the mellotron. Obviously every layer is important because some layers are giving more lows and some layers are giving more highs. So I tried to nail the perfect layer of strings. This is really important because it seems like a brass more than a string, because maybe they're also layering this string with a brass. And I'm using Omnisphere 2 with this bank here, the Unclean Machine. I really love this bank. In this case, I'm using the Badly Worn Strings preset. With these strings, I'm playing the higher octave that you can hear in the background. You can't really understand what notes they're playing in the background, but you can hear like an airy sound on the first part of the loop. Then I'm playing the same melody with this other preset, always strings from the Omnisphere bank. Then I'm using the classic Mellotron V from Arturia. I'm using this preset here, the Rubicon, and I'm just playing the same notes. Then I have the strings 3 from the M-Tron Pro, always using the same ensemble preset. Then I have a piano from the Labs Autograph Grand Bank, and I'm playing the higher notes. The last layer is from the M-Tron Pro. It's a brass, it's called the Combined Brass 2, and I'm always using the half speed button and the ensemble. This brass is really important because it's one of the layers that you can hear the most in the sample. For the effects, I have this EQ on the whole layer of the strings. I'm boosting the lower frequencies and then the mids and the highs. Then I have this sketch cassette with the basic default preset, and then some fresh air to add some hikes. On the layers, I just have some EQ to make them work better, because obviously there were a lot of frequencies clashing together. So as you can see, I'm cutting some hikes and some lows from every layer to get a better result in the mix. And the last thing I'm doing on the strings is using this sound shifter from Waves to create this octave effect every bar. You can really hear it, but it's this effect here. They may have used Grossbeat or Shaper Box to achieve a similar effect. Obviously, I'm not sure that they're doing this, but if you listen closely to the loop, you can really notice that there is something happening every bar. I also have the loop without the top melody. So let's move on to the drums. It's a drill beat, so we have a clap on the 3 and 4. Then the hi-hats. The patterns for the hi-hat are slightly changing sometimes, but it's pretty much the same. Then we have some open hats. Triangle, and then the kick and the 808. The kick is really simple, 1, 2, 4, 1. And then we have the 808, they are just playing the root note on 2 octaves, and they're adding some rhythm with these offbeats here. On the bridge, they are just switching the 808 pattern to this delayed pattern. As you can see, the arrangement is pretty simple, as we said for the first beat too. So they're just playing the melody and the drums straight, and then they're adding some bridges with the 808 variation. So this is the final result for the second beat. So let's move on to the last beat. It's 134 BPMs. They're using this sample here, the Grodek Whipper Jenny Conclusions. Obviously you need to stretch it to make it work at this BPM. And as you can see, I'm trying to align the transient of the waveform with the grid. They are just using the intro of this song, so I made two different chops of the intro to make it easier to stretch them. Because I'm stretching them separately, so I'm stretching the first 4 bars and then I'm stretching the last 4 bars. And then they also pitch it down by 3 semitones. Obviously I'm gonna pitch it down by 6 to avoid copyright. So let's analyze the last melody of this beat. They're using the A Dorian scale. It's a really simple chord progression. They're using the 1 and the 5th. So we have A minor and E minor. And then we have the guitar playing the F sharp, the G and the F sharp again. The Dorian scale is the second mode of the major scale. So in this case, the relative major is G major. And as you can see, the Dorian scale, it's really similar to its parallel minor. The only note that is changing is the 6th, that is F, that is going up to an F sharp. So the most important note in the scale is the F sharp. This note, when it's played over a 5th chord, it's a suspended 2. So it's really common to hear this note on the 1-5 progression in the Dorian mode, because the F sharp adds a lot of tension to the 5th chord. Then on the lower octave we have a bass, string bass. They are just playing the root notes mainly, so the A and the E, and then they're using the whole scale to make this arpeggio. And they're also using the G sharp from the parallel harmonic minor scale to give this exotic feeling. So let's move on to the drums. We have a different drum, unconventional drum. So we have the snare on the 3. Then we have a counter snare on the offbeat, simple 2-step hi-hats, some open hats, hi-hat rolls, and then the kick that is shifted from the first beat to the offbeat. So it has this unconventional pattern. Also, the 808 is a little bit different from the classic 808s. It's a reverse 808, so I'm using the spins, I'm reversing it, and they're just playing the root notes with this really simple rhythm. I think sometimes they're also playing the same root notes on the higher octave. We also have a rim shot on the offbeats, and this is the final result. So that's all for the Family Matters beat. Smash a like and subscribe if you like this video. I will leave all my links in the description if you want to support me. I have a Patreon page where I upload all the FLPs for my remakes, Instagram if you want to follow me, and BeatStars if you want to check out my beats or drum kits. See you in the next video, bye!